Now let's talk about writing a CSS rule. That's what this whole thing is called. It's called a rule. A CSS rule for our paragraph tag. I certainly have marked up a lot of my text as paragraph. So I'm going to put a P and then open curly bracket, and note that I am outside of that closing bracket. So I'm not in that rule. It's a fresh new rule, but I'm still within my style tags. All right, so I have the P tag. And what are things that I could add to the paragraph? Well, I could put in a font, but I already kind of did that up in the body. So, because remember the body applies it to everything. So I'm okay with that font. I could put in a font color, but again, I already did that in the body. If I wanted it to be different, I could change it here. If we look over at the browser, one thing is, if you notice, when I make my browser the full page, my text is spreading all the way over to the edge. And it's spanning the width of the page, which I don't really like. It's actually really difficult to read. Now, when we did our first homework assignment, I had you use the BR tag to bring this down another line. Well, here's something you could do in CSS. I could give my paragraph a width, and that basically creates a box around it so that it will control the width of the text. I'll show you what I mean. So let's put in width, and I'll put it at 700 px, put in my semicolon, click over here. We can't really tell until we see it in the browser. I'm going to save it, go back over to the browser, and it's refreshed, and now you can see that the text is no longer spanning just because I put in a width, which is pretty cool. All right, so that's something that we could definitely add to our paragraph. Let's now target some of the other tags that we had on here. Let's see, I had a strong tag, so I'm going to say anything that has the strong tag wrapped around it, I'm going to do something different to it. I'm going to actually give it a background color of just something really bright that will stand out. I'm going to use gold. And don't forget that semicolon. So let's see what that looks like. So now this word not, because it had the strong tag around it, see how it has the strong tag around it? Now anything, only things with the strong tag around it will have that background color of gold. If I wanted to get a little more space around that word, that would be using padding. So I'm going to put in padding, and let's put in a padding of 20 pixels. So px and a semicolon. And you see how it made this like block of space all around it? So it's actually not great, but I just wanted to show you what some padding looked like. We'll come back to that. I'll add a padding of 5, and so you can see how it makes a little block around it. And now let's do the same thing for the EM tag, which I believe we used, the emphasize tag. And let's do something different for that. I will give that a different color. Let's make that one aqua. So now when I look over here, there's that word that had the EM tag around it. Oh dear, did not mean to do that. Okay, so here it is. The word like had the EM tag around it. Now, watch what would happen. I'm just going to go into my code, and I'll add the EM tag around a couple of other words. And now it's going to have those characteristics as well. Because I wrote anything that has the EM tag, I want you to have this color of aqua. But I could do other things, like I could add the background color to it if I wanted to, just like I did to this one. Let's see what it would look like if I added a background color to my paragraph. Choose background color, and let's just give it this whatever color you want. And so now just to illustrate, it doesn't look good, but I just want to illustrate like anything could have a background color actually. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so now we have marked up our body tag that targets sort of everything on the page, and as well as our color and our fonts, our background. We've marked up the paragraph, and so far the only thing I did with the paragraph was I gave it a width. I marked up any text that was within the strong tag by giving it a background color and a little bit of padding, so it like expanded its space that it took up. I mark up anything that had the EM tag around it by giving it a different color. All right. So in the next video, I'm going to start talking more about the padding and margins, and we'll start marking up our headings, because what I wanted was to get rid of some of this default spacing.